friends, and welcome to Screen Vomit, the only movie podcast for normal people. I'm, of course, your host, Kayla, and I do have two guests with me today, but before I get to that, can I just say, if you like the show, you can find me on Instagram and everywhere else at Screen Vomit, one word on all the stuff. Leave my ass a rating and review on your podcast app, and check out my shirts. I got these shirts designed by Chapel of Ghouls on Instagram from Grand Rapids, and they kick ass. They're very cool. They're in my link tree, which you can find in the show notes. And let me say, Pride Month is coming up as of release of this episode. I don't think I have like a specific Pride episode this year, but I am bisexual, non-binary, of course, queer as hell. On June 1st, if you live in the Chicagoland area, I will be at Elgin Pride in Elgin, Illinois. I founded Elgin Pride in, 2019 or 2018. And this is my last year doing Elgin Pride with them. After 3 years of not living in Illinois, I am finally saying goodbye to Elgin Pride. So if you're in the area, come out for Elgin Pride, June 1st from 11 to 5. I'll be there. And also, speaking of Pride Month, my guests today have a gorgeous little queer movie called Wake Up Leonard, which you can watch for free on Tubi or Amazon. They also have a whole slew of shorts and other stuff between them. My guests are Nigel DeFriez and Kat Mills Martin. You may remember Nigel from my Kajillionaire episode, and that was, I think, 2021. So that'll be a scroll back through the old timeline on that one. And they both have other stuff in addition to Wake Up Leonard out right now or coming soon. Kat is working on a short called Celeste in Spring, which will be doing festivals hopefully soon. Nigel stars in a short called Deepfake Apology Video by Brooke Bundy and past guest of the pod, Jersey Rose, which just recently started its festival run. So keep an eye out for their stuff, man. Kings stay slaying. We recorded this several months ago, and I do in the episode mention a job I no longer have, so heads up for that. And happy Pride Month to all, and thanks for listening. Now here's the ep with Kat Mills Martin and Nigel DeFriez. Okay, we're recording again.
We're good.
Amazing. Okay, so Nigel, you were just about to tell a shit story.
Oh, well. On the short, we're talking about short films that got shitty, literally. And when we made the short film I almost called it Short Friends. It's called Old Friends.
Okay.
It was at our friend Mike's house, his parents' house in New Jersey. And the toilet got so backed up that in the basement, shit water literally started coming up out of the shower in the basement and flooded the entire basement. And we had to remove all these lights and all this equipment, and there was like 6 inches of shit water. And our friends, it was awful. It was really awful.
And you were filming in this house?
We were filming. We were just about to film the last scene.
Did the scene take place in the basement?
Yeah.
That's so stressful.
Yeah, it did.
So how'd you work around it? You waited?
We got
WAD?
buckets and oh my God, and towels and mopped it all up. It was so gross.
Oh, you had to go hands-on experience.
Yeah, we went hands-on.
Wow.
And
you cleaned it up in time for the film.
Yeah.
Kira said you guys were in costume.
Yeah. It was bad.
There were lights up that you had to unplug. There was a whole thing.
That was the worst on-set experience I've ever had.
It sounds horrible.
So you've clogged...
Was it worth it? I don't know. You watched the short film and I don't know. You decide.
Multiple film sets that Nigel's been a part of have somehow the toilet's been clogged in the area.
It wasn't me both times. It wasn't me, I swear. It wasn't.
It's just interesting.
No.
Watch this, man.
Yikes. Also, it's just classic indie film move to have too many bodies in a space with one bathroom.
I've learned every set I've been on since. I've been like, we point out the bathrooms and like you have to space it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Checking who's going one or two at what times and getting a schedule going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Too many Nature Valley granola bars and like red vines or whatever. It's just all the... Yeah.
Not good. Not good for the pipes, internal or external.
No.
It's never the actors, it's the crew. Yeah.
Famously.
Is that how we're starting with okay.
Yes, with Nigel's shit story.
I don't know. You can always trim that off if you want.
We'll see how it plays. I feel like it's a good open, though.
I love how we're so controlling.
Sorry.
We're trying to control the photo, and now we're trying to control the shit stories that are shared.
You just have to have faith in the system.
Okay.
I have faith in you.
It'll come out well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I always have faith in the system.
Thank you. Okay, so we should talk about your movie that just came out onto streaming finally after 100 years.
Yes.
Your movie, Wake Up Leonard. Okay, so this has been a long journey, though, because I had Nigel on the pod 2+ years ago, and you were talking about making the movie at that time. So this has been a journey of a film.
Yes.
Yeah, had the movie come out yet? No.
I just re-listened to that episode, and you were talking about editing it.
Oh,
so
okay.
I feel like maybe you were done shooting, or at least mostly done.
So we were in our dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Truly. Because we started shooting in December 2020.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we finished in like January or February. I can't remember. But
I think we had like some reshoots.
That's
May.
what it was. And then and then we premiered in 2022. So it's been a while.
Yeah, how's it feel it's finally out for everyone to watch?
It feels great. I'm so happy.
Wait, you're over it now?
Well,
you've had such a journey with the film. You've already had your exciting parts.
I love the film. I just love film festivals. Like that part's so fun for me. And this is all new to me. Like streaming.
Was this your feature debut?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So like streaming is all new territory for me. So it's like, it's like, can you see I'm getting choked up? No, it's just like, it's all new territory where...
This is Kat Mills Martin, director of Wake Up Leonard, speaking. That was, not me. Choking on her.
Choking on my words. It just feels like, it's not like we had like this fun LA premiere last Christmas. And then when it comes out on streaming, it's not like we could have had something, but we didn't really do anything because we had this like...
It's anticlimactic.
Yeah, where we all just started to press buy Wake Up Leonard.
Add to story.
Yeah.
Basically.
Texted each other, I bought it. And then that was it.
Like, cool, now it's over. It's the end of the journey, kind of.
Yeah, but I'm happy other people, can watch it now.
Give the people the pitch for people who don't know.
Sure, it is.
Do you remember
really
what it's about?
Exactly.
I think I remember. It's a comedy about anxiety, and it's all set in one day in LA around Christmas time, and it's this person named Leonard, who I play.
The star. We have the star here.
Star.
And he is kind of having a bad day, but at the end of the day, he's seeing his ex-boyfriend, the one who broke his heart, and so he goes on this odyssey through LA to kind of get himself in shape, get his vibe right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that he can make a good impression.
And it's sort of a One Crazy Day feature.
Yeah. And it was made by me, Kat, and Kira. Kat directed it.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have been doing films together for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, we all like co-wrote the story. That was such a nice description, Nigel. I just want to say.
Yeah,
was it? I'm like, oh my God, I'm finally getting it.
Yeah, I know. 3 years later. No, for me too, because I you know, I've been like saying different versions of it, but I liked that one a lot. And so we all wrote it together or came up with the idea together. But there were various parts or points along the process where people would ask us, like, oh, can we see a script for whatever, like our sales agent or for a grant, like, can we see a script? And we're like, no, because it's the movie's
ain't got one of those. Yeah,
it's improvised.
Yeah, it was mostly improvised. Yeah,
so we're like, we don't have that. We have this outline that only makes sense to us, but we've been doing this for so long together that we kind of have our rhythm with it, like our own weird neurotic way of working.
You know each other's chemistry. You kind of know how to play with each other pretty well.
Yeah. And we know each other's taste, which I think is really important.
That is really important because I know we're going to get there in a second, but because with the movies like Nancy, where if you don't like, I think tone is so important, and I think we all understand based on our taste what the tone is naturally. Like, we don't have to explain it to each other. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when I'm watching movies, I'm like, oh, I think this is hilarious, and it's not meant to be funny, or, you know, like I see comedy in it that maybe, I don't know if it was intentional or not. So it feels really nice just to be like, oh, we can, like, we don't have to explain that part because we get it.
You have like twin language.
Yeah.
It's just in your bones.
Yeah.
I mean, we've known each other since college.
So long.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you guys all meet? It was all college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nigel and Kira met before you guys met in Meisner. And acting.
At NYU. Yeah, an acting program at NYU.
Yeah. And then I was in the same program, but in a different studio. And then Nigel and I met in clown school.
Hell yeah.
in Florence,
Commedia
Italy.
dell'arte.
Wow, I didn't know you did clown school.
Nigel was a really good clown. I was an average clown. No, really. I was okay, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But Nigel was really
But neither
good.
of you do clowning now.
Well, who's to say, really? No.
I know, clowning is such a...
Clowning is so huge in LA.
It is such an umbrella term. It can mean so many different things. Like, I just saw...
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I just saw these people who did a clown show last night on Instagram, and it was just like these two guys in their underwear. I was like, well, okay. You know what I mean?
You're like, I can
There's
do
no
that.
masks or
Right.
silly noses or anything.
Clowning is... I was just talking about this. Clowning is so much more than I think most people conceptualize it as.
Totally.
And I didn't know that before, like, I started coming to LA and, like, going to a lot of clown shows there.
Like at the
basically.
Elysian?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Or, like, now I help run PDA and I co-run it with two clowns. Oh, is that breaking news?
Wow. Yeah. That is breaking news.
Nigel just did a O face. a shocked face, I guess.
Well, the show that I was talking
different.
about that happened last night that I saw was at PDA.
Oh, you went there. So
Yeah.
that
PDA
you
is
liked
so
the show?
cool.
But yeah, anyway, I co-run the space. I have for a little over a year now. About a year
Wow.
now.
Remotely.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Well, a lot of running a venue is just like answering emails and like scheduling people and stuff like that. So I do all that from here.
Nice.
Why did I start talking about that? Oh yeah, so I co-run it with two clowns. And so I've just gotten a much broader experience of what clowning is than what I would have thought, having never experienced clown community in Indiana or Chicago, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know, it's really blowing up right now.
Yeah, LA is crazy with clowns.
Crazy with clowns. Yeah, I mean, it is funny how it makes its way into what we do or into Leonard. Like, I don't, I never really, I don't really like analyze my own work, but I just feel like it must be in there somewhere,
Oh, for sure.
Oh, well, like me, I mean, so much of me, like, well, spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it, but after I get the treatment and I'm all happy, a lot of that, like me in the tree, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes
very clown, like, ooh, interacting with the world and like,
prancing
wow, what's
around.
that?
It goes
yeah.
clown.
really
Ooh,
giddy.
look at that,
Yeah. Being so excited by your environment.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
normal stuff. For sure.
We also had a couple, or maybe just one, we had like a fall that got cut. That was like pretty clowny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When Leonard's putting up a wreath, we had this whole thing where we put a mat down on the ground and we had a fall.
Yeah.
We like shot it, but we were trying to edit it. It just wasn't really working.
Wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't
So now
working.
you have the deleted scene for the DVD release.
Yeah, that'll be on the DVD at some point.
Yeah, it was one of those things that was really funny in real life. And then when we were cutting it together, we were like,
Well,
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
So, Kat, I've already had Nigel on the pod talking about your history with film, but Kat, what's your like relationship with film, like watching movies wise? Like, do you watch a lot of movies? Do you have a type? What's your vibe?
I watch a lot of movies. I kind of consider myself to be very highbrow and very lowbrow. Like, I love kind of watching everything at the extremes. I also notoriously have not seen like, whatever the most popular movie is at the time. Like, I probably haven't seen, like, it takes me forever to see, iconic movies. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like the Fablemans or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll see that. I'll see that in 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up in the era of like 90s comedies, which I love. Like, that's one of my favorite eras. And also watching like all the classics on TV. And Nigel and I were just talking about having like various 10-inch cube TVs in our houses growing up, and just like popping in a blockbuster movie every Friday and then watching it until Sunday night.
When you had to return.
I had to return, or like had to go to school the next day. And then, and I would be at my dad's house.
The way we rewatch stuff as children, like,
Oh.
I don't be doing that no more, but it would seriously be like the movie's over, rewind, we're starting it
Yes,
again.
obsessive.
And then again and again.
Obsessive. I mean, I did that ritualistically with so many movies that I had on,
me too.
On tape. Like, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of my
because we only had so
Thing.
much access
Right,
to
yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
At a
Now, like,
time,
the world's our oyster.
No
Like,
streaming.
we can just, we have thousands, maybe millions of movies at our fingertips
Right.
at any
Which is
point in
crazy
time.
because sometimes you can't find anything to watch.
And as children, we have like 20 VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
then you
8
go
channels.
rent one and you have to commit to it because it cost your dad
Exactly.
$3.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to watch
Exactly.
it. And
interesting.
it is interesting. And anyway, that was kind of my thing was, I was going to say, and I'm from Hawaii, so we got things even later.
Yeah.
Like, we're basically Japan. Like, we would get things like later than the rest of the kind of mainland USA.
Was there anything like about movies, or like maybe a specific movie that was the moment that made you want to get involved with movies or like being a part of film?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I took a film class in high school. That was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of like my first moment of being like, I mean, when I was younger, I would kind of be like, wait, how did they do this? But it was my first moment of being asked to analyze film and like actually reflect on it in some sort of articulate way. And it really did feel like the teacher was amazing. And it really did feel like it was a class he had, proposed and just wanted to teach because he loved movies.
That's awesome.
And I ruled that class. We had to make short films. I really ruled that class. Yeah. I was like, I really got into it. And we had to make shorts on, what is it called? Like mini DV? Is that what it's called? Like video cameras. Yeah. And it was when, iMovie had just come out. So anyway, that was the first editing program that I used, was iMovie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of people who had access to film classes in school because I really would have ate that shit up, but my school didn't have that.
It was so fun.
Mine neither.
I mean, it was the one class and I ate it up.
I got to make a short film for English class in high school and it was so fun and I was so into it. But that's the only time I ever got to like fuck around with a camera or anything.
What was it about?
It was about Henry David Thoreau.
Oh!
but we really like popped off on it. I gotta say we were really creative about it, and we did like this is so lame because I was like 16 years old, but it's like such a like fond memory for me, and I really like truly ate it up. I started working in the library after that, like teaching other people how to use the editing software.
What editing software were you using?
I have no idea, but I'll tell you, it was not on any software. It was a Windows computer for sure.
Oh my God, wow.
And we definitely did have like the little tape adapter thingies that we had to like put the tape into the computer. We did like a sort of like awards thing, like the Oscars or whatever, but for our like stupid class, like short films and my team won almost every award.
I believe it.
I'm just saying it was pretty good.
I believe it.
And I truly wish the teacher warned us 35 times, like, if you want a copy of this movie, you have to make it before this class is over because I don't keep them. You'll never get it again. And of course, I did not make a copy. So it's all in my memories. I have like no access to the tapes. And that's so devastating.
That is.
Wish I'd made a copy.
Well, I actually have a copy of the short film, like I think the first short film that I made for this class.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I will never show anyone, but I actually watched it like several years ago. And I was like, this is great. Like, I really enjoyed it.
So why won't you put it up anywhere?
Oh, like online? Oh, Jesus.
Come on.
Maybe. It's pretty great. Like, I really, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot
Just for fun.
I could put it for fun. There's a lot of like unlicensed music. I feel like there's like, I don't know. The early
Does Vimeo
aughts.
care about that stuff?
Actually, I don't think Vimeo does. YouTube does, obviously, but
Yeah. I think YouTube will definitely flag you,
I think
but I don't know if Vimeo
you can
does.
get away with it.
Okay, so maybe on Vimeo is where it's at.
Just shooting out ideas. Could be fun.
Yeah, could be fun for my retrospective.
Yeah.
And I'm in it too. I'm like the lead in it, of course, cast
really?
myself. So, it's like, it's also that layer of like seeing yourself at 8:17 or whatever. 18.
So this is a narrative piece?
Yes, it's a narrative piece.
Yeah, what was the film about?
Okay, so if I remember correctly, it's called Over the Hill, Hille, about a girl named, I think her name was like Megan Hill, who I play, who's a high schooler. And it's sort of your classic, like, she's like an unpopular kid and like kids are like throwing trash at her. And it's like, it's really like, I don't know, she's sort of like, dragging her backpack around. It's very dramatic, but funny, meant to be funny, over the top. And then she befriends a popular kid, I think, who kind of like, it's almost like a classic 90s like makeover where she becomes popular, but
she's hot all of a sudden.
She's hot all of a sudden.
She takes off her glasses.
Yes.
She's suddenly gorgeous.
Yes. And I can't quite remember how it ends, but I think it's like, in the end, it kind of turns where she's hot, but the core of her is, she's over the hill. She's, is like, she's just.
Oh, she sold her soul.
She sold her soul. Yeah, she sold her soul. I don't remember how it ends. So, I mean, it doesn't sound that great, but I liked I liked the visuals of it. Like, I was like, this is really funny. And the way it was shot was really fun. And there were like, sound cues and things that I feel like other people didn't put in their movies that were like the seeds of like, oh, this is how you make something feel kind of complete, I think in the end she ditches the popular kids and she just has to be herself.
So classic.
So it's
Tale as old as time.
I mean, truly Tale as old as time. It's like really not that original. But I was watching like Clueless every day. So
yeah, if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
Clueless and She's All That.
Yeah.
And Josie and the Pussycats. All
those
coming
movies.
out.
Yeah.
With the same message at the same time.
Yeah.
And all iconic.
Be popular.
Well, I think ultimately their like popularity is bad.
Yeah, right.
Popularity is bad, but at least you learn to wear contacts. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we should talk about the movie that we picked for today.
Yes.
Which is the 2018 film Nancy. Also a feature debut of this director, Christina Cho.
Oh.
This was on my list, and y'all picked it off my list. Neither of you had seen this before, right?
Nope.
No.
Was this just at random?
Yeah.
Or, like, what drew you to this?
I can't remember. Do you remember
Because we
what
picked
drew
this
us?
like a long time ago.
We
Yeah.
could not remember.
But I have to say, we chose really right.
Oh,
Don't you think?
so right.
Yes. It's fascinating how right you chose.
We had a ball.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy! Oh my God, Nancy.
This has been on my watch list forever. And actually,
Why?
well, I am a fan of Andrea Riseborough, but I think actually, so I famously like try not to know basically anything about movies before I watch them. Like I don't watch trailers. I try not to read even the like blurb if I can. For some reason with this movie, I had it confused with Christine, the movie about the reporter who kills herself.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Totally.
So when I turned it on, I was like, okay, great. We're watching the movie about the reporter who kills herself. And like, that's like absolutely not at all what happens in this movie.
You kept
like, not even
waiting.
close.
You're like, why is she not a reporter yet?
So it's absolutely not that movie, but
At what point did you realize?
I feel like I realized pretty soon, and then I did like look up the synopsis or whatever, because I was like, wow, that just like I like all day was like prepared to watch the movie about the reporter who kills herself, and that's just like
Not even close.
not even close to what was happening at all. So I don't think it took very long to realize.
This is another movie about a brown-haired girl with a one-word name title.
Yeah, you know, and like the cover of this movie is also like kind of spooky, sort of.
Yes.
It just seemed, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
I
it wasn't that
I had
at
no
all.
idea what it was going to be.
Yeah,
too.
me neither. I didn't look at anything.
Hell yeah, I love that.
I wasn't sure. Well, I wasn't sure if violence was going to occur.
Yeah, because it
Even
has
as we
that
were
spooky
watching it.
type vibe on
Yeah.
the cover. Like, it just
Yeah.
seems like serial killer or like something demented.
Yes.
Yeah, like 1 hour photo.
Yeah,
Robin
yeah.
Williams. I don't
Like,
know.
once we get to that point in the movie, you're like, oh, well, it's actually just like something normal and it makes sense. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just,
We
it has
had that
spooky vibes when you just see it out of context.
Yeah, we had that feeling too.
Yeah. So cast for this movie, like I said, we have Andrea Riseborough. She's in Mandy that came out the same year, randomly. 2 movies with a lady's name. Please Baby Please. If you saw that movie, I love that movie.
You know, she
I saw
hasn't
her
been
on
on my radar.
Really?
Yeah.
She's amazing.
I have to, yeah.
Oh.
But she was,
Nigel, what
what
were
were
you
you saying?
I saw her on stage in New York.
Oh, really?
Like when we lived there, like, I don't know, 12 years ago. And she was in this play with Ben Whishaw.
Wow, that's so fun.
Well, we also have to mention that Nigel was nominated for Best Lead Performance in Wake Up Leonard at Rain Dance, and she was his competitor, and she's the one who won the award.
Wow.
For To Leslie. Yeah.
Oh, and that's the movie that she had the like controversial Academy Award nomination campaign or whatever about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, we went, Maria, our producer, and I, we flew to London because I had been nominated for an award. And we went
King.
over there and we went to the awards ceremony.
And lost.
And lost. And they said, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie. Maria and I were like, what the fuck is To Leslie? And they won everything. She wasn't there. She was there. She was off shooting something in Budapest, they said. And then a couple months later, To Leslie was like the
thing.
news item.
Talk of the town.
Yeah.
They did like a grassroots campaign for To Leslie to try and get them nominated for awards or whatever, which is like caused a huge stir. I don't know all the details about how you're supposed to and not supposed to do stuff, but I guess normal people do like magazine covers, publicity stuff, and they just like called their celebrity friends and were like, watch the movie.
And had them like Instagram story it or post it on Instagram, which I think is a
and they just
no-no.
weren't sure if that wasn't against the rules,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you're supposed to have like an Academy sanctioned event,
Right.
blah blah blah, which of
And
course
I haven't
costs
seen the film.
a ton of
Yeah.
money. So
Yeah.
they did all this stuff without having the budget to do it, but also
Right.
having powerful Hollywood resources.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting conundrum.
Yeah.
But also her performance is incredible in that movie.
Oh, really?
Did you watch it?
I did.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I guess I'll need to. It's fascinating.
I mean, if you're a fan of her, you should
I
definitely
am a fan
see
of
it.
her.
Yeah.
Okay, who else in this movie? J. Smith Cameron, who was on Margaret that I've done for the pod. She's in True Blood, Search Party, lots of stuff. Ann Dowd, Steve Buscemi, John Leguizamo. Big cast for a small indie
Superstars.
film.
Yes,
Yeah.
all-star.
Famous is all. Yeah.
Yeah. Also produced by Barbara Broccoli, which first of all is an incredible name.
Yes. When the credits
But-
rolled around, I thought, I've seen this name before.
Barbara Broccoli.
Yeah.
At the grocery
Famously-
store.
Famously produced all the James Bond franchise, though. So she is kind of a bigwig producer, but what a name.
Oh,
Yes.
so she can get John Leguizamo.
I should have changed my name to Broccoli.
Kayla Broccoli.
That's such a psychotic name.
Oh, you should do a hyphen. Kayla Bates Broccoli.
I already had regrets over not just changing it to Kayla Bats. Bats is such kind of a badass name.
I mean, there's still time. It could be your LA era.
Yeah, I'm going to rebrand once I move to LA.
Yeah, Bats.
Kayla Bats. Okay, critic scores on this 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, 63% of Google users. So high with the critics, low with the folks. All right, I have a plot summary if someone would like to read it.
Oh, amazing.
I'll read it.
Okay, read it.
Nancy becomes increasingly convinced she was kidnapped as a child. When she meets a couple whose daughter went missing 30 years ago, reasonable doubts give way to willful belief.
And there it is.
Did that sound like that made sense
Yeah, it sounded
when
great.
it came out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Is that the plot?
Wait a second.
That is,
Yeah.
I think the plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
More or less.
I guess that's how I'd describe it.
Yeah. So Nancy is Andrea Riseborough. Her character, first of all, she's like a 35-year-old goth teen who hates her mom. And I think we can't even get any part into this movie without talking about her wig.
No, the wig has to come first.
No, that is that is my one
We've
note.
been edging to talk about this
circled
wig.
and underlined 8 times is wig.
Wig.
The wig is so psychotic.
We talked about it through the whole thing too. We didn't stop talking about it. Different
It's such a focal
shots.
point of the movie.
Well, it would be like you'd be in a scene and then you'd cut to another shot of somebody else and then you cut back to her and you're like, ah!
Jump scare.
It's like a
with the
jump.
wig.
Yeah, exactly. It's distracting, frankly.
I think, Nigel, you said when we were watching it, you're like, just randomly in the middle of it, you're like, this wig is so big on her head. It's a hat.
It's huge. It is.
a hat. It's a hat.
It's a hat.
It is, and not like a normal hat, like a trucker cap.
Yeah.
It's
like
And she has such small
Demure
features. And you know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
it really doesn't
small
work.
face,
Yeah.
pale features, and then this huge like a helmet of hair on her head.
like a wig from Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap.
It's so weird too because the top of it, the part that's on her head is so gigantic.
Yes.
But once it the flowy part that hangs down,
Yes.
it's sort of thinning out kind of raggedy,
Yes.
kind of almost not even there. The density
choppy bob.
the density isn't consistent.
Yes, because she must have had long hair at the time, and it just feels like when you wear a wig in a high school play and you just put your hair in a bun and then you put the wig on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, one of my main qualms was the hair dyeing scene. Do you remember this part, Kayla?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her hair
It's
was already
early in
black
the
and then she dyes
story.
it black.
Yes, her hair was already
Yes.
black. And the way she dyes it black is she mixes the black hair dye and then she's just looking in the mirror with her hair down, just paints it onto the top of her head, which if you've ever dyed your hair, you know that is impossible. Like, that is not how you dye. One dyes their hair. You have to like section it off. You have to get into the roots. She's just staring in the mirror, like painting the top of her head.
Just the outer layers.
Just the outer layer. And so that was...
And there's not even like anything to dye. Her hair is black and she's dyeing it with black hair dye.
Well, we were really hoping...
you don't even have roots, honey.
What was she doing?
Well,
no idea.
We were really waiting for her to dye it blonde.
Because that was before she goes to meet up with the guy, right?
Yeah.
And she puts on the lipstick.
Yeah, she was just doing a touch-up on the roots or something.
I guess.
But it was
like,
literally just the top of the hair. It was so weird.
Whenever I'm stressed, like the first thing I do is dye my hair. So
yeah.
like, I guess I get it.
Yeah. She's stressed before her date with the... Yeah.
But, I don't know. Weird behavior.
The wig of it all, it was a very standout part of the movie.
Yeah. I wonder what her natural hair was at that time to like, why did they even make the choice to do the wig? Or like, was it just to make her more goth or like... what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, if I had to guess, I would say that she was probably in something else.
Yeah.
Where she had to have like her normal sort of honey colored hair. And...
Well, I know Mandy came out the same year.
Oh.
And I think she had long black hair for that movie.
And I'm guessing that the director probably really wanted her to have dark hair. And so
a choppy bob.
The only option was because she was like, well, I can't dye my hair because I'm in this other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, her hair in Mandy is like long, like butt level, straight black. And that may be her natural hair. If it's not, it's a good wig, at least.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of a crazy, like, it's a look, like it's a moment. So
yeah,
if they tried to have that hair in this also, it would be noticeable. So I guess if that's what was going on, and that would also explain like why her wig was so large.
Right, because so much hair.
Like as you're saying, yeah, there's so much hair in there.
Under. Yeah, I mean, we were just hoping that they would acknowledge it at some point in Act 3, like
never did.
Pull off the wig, like a reveal that, because, it feels like she's hiding so much, so maybe this is just part of her persona. But no, they never did.
Well, because she's a liar and an imposter and somebody who pretends to be other people. So it's sort of like doesn't really do her credibility any favors that she looks like somebody who's dressed up like somebody, that she looks like an Amy Poehler character.
Everyone is just
right.
Everyone is just acting like the wig is normal.
Right.
Like, no one's saying anything.
That's the thing. I mean, also, don't get me wrong, we love a wig, but if you're gonna put the lead in a wig, you got to put everyone in a wig.
Yeah.
You guys just got to do wigs across the board. Wigs.
I mean, Nicole Kidman's always in a wig, but for some reason, we don't mind.
Yeah.
She's obsessed with a wig.
Oh, yes. Iconically.
And bad wigs normally, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her wigs are bad, but they're not this bad.
But it's also like her thing to have bad wigs. So it's like, we already know that about you. Like, it's old news. We're not asking questions. Like, this is a new character.
Yeah, it was very, we talked about it a lot during the movie.
You can't not watch this movie and not address the wig.
Well, especially because in the beginning, she's in like this dark dungeon of her house with Ann Dowd, her mom. Mm-hmm. And then when she goes into the light of day in J. Smith Cameron and Steve Buscemi's house, it's like bright and you can really see the wig illuminated. So it's even more, especially underneath where you're talking about, where there's a lot of space.
It's like thinned out. Yeah. Not good. So her her normal mom.
Right.
Hard to say what's true in this movie. Her normal mom in this movie has like Parkinson's. She's really rude. It seems like Andrea's character, Nancy, is a caretaker to her mom and doesn't have much time for much else. It's interesting also that you picked this movie because of how similar or how many similarities it has to Kajillionaire, which is the other movie that me and Nigel did on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Like both with like central female characters with psychotic wigs in Arrested Development situations, doing schemes and crimes. It's like kind of iconic.
It is.
Makes sense.
Wow.
That is kind of...
Nigel has a type.
Yeah.
I do.
That is your
I
genre.
Crime doing women with family problems.
do. And wigs.
Wait,
Yeah.
And wigs.
It's dealing with Dana.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Except Dana committed to the hair. She actually did it, right? That wasn't a wig.
Yeah.
She did.
That wasn't a wig. But, you know, in the Hollywood version, it probably would be. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Ooh, we really,
Interesting.
had to talk her into that too. We tried a wig and it was like, this is too
Wasn't
wiggy.
with too
It
wiggy.
wasn't working.
Too wiggy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as a good filmmaker, you go, then we got to do hair.
Yeah. You have to
Not commit to psychotic wigs.
dye your hair. But you dyed your hair too. So, you know.
I did.
Wow, what a moment. I got to rewatch that. I haven't watched that in a while.
Oh, it's so good. I rewatched it like a week ago and I just like called Nigel. I was telling him how good it was.
Oh my God. I haven't seen it in so long, but thank you so much.
It's so good.
TBT.
Yeah. Everybody watched Dealing with Dana.
Short film I made with Diana Joy.
Yeah. When was that? It's several years old now.
2016 or 2017?
Yeah, so it's kind of an oldie.
Yeah. That was the first thing I directed by myself.
Oh, really?
I mean, I didn't do it by myself, but like,
But not
it was my
credited
first
with other people.
film as a solo director.
Wow.
Your first film that's like film and not like sketch or weird little video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not Nigel in a hole or anything.
Yeah.
They know the deep cuts. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites.
That's a good choice.
Thank you.
So more about Nancy's character, I guess. Andrea Riseborough, I think this is kind of a different role than I've seen her do before a little bit. But she's such a chameleon, typically.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of just molds to her environment. I think she blends into different movies in such a way that like you almost don't know it's her, you know, like she's just so different in everything that she's in, which kind of almost works on another level for this movie just because of like what her character is, like a liar who's like trying to be different people all the time.
Yeah. A liar looking for a new identity and
And she's a writer who is like constantly getting rejected, but also like seeking connection all the time.
She has a blog. Yeah.
Yeah, one of her first schemes is the blog where she's like pretending to be a person who lost a child.
Yeah.
Or maybe, we don't know, maybe is a person who lost a child, or it's unclear exactly the details. But she does meet someone from this blog, John Leguizamo's character, goes to meet up with him and pretends to be pregnant when she meets him, has a prosthetic pregnancy belly on hand. We don't know why she has this belly sitting around. Does she?
I
do
think
this
she
often?
ordered it on Amazon in a
Like just
we
for
didn't
the
see that,
meeting?
but I think so. Yeah.
Because when they're texting, it's not like, let's meet up next Tuesday. It's like, are you free today at 5 kind of vibes,
Oh, that's
isn't it?
true.
That's
yeah, so she
true.
was ready. She was ready.
She
to
had
go.
it. She had it on hand.
She had it on hand.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that?
Well,
I really wonder, and I'm curious what you guys think, if she had lost a child, because then when he finds out that she's faking it in the grocery store, and then she's like, I only lied about when.
Oh,
she's like,
yeah.
I actually did lose a child. It just wasn't now. It was before.
yeah, she
But
did.
Yeah,
then
I wonder too, because also her mom made a comment about like, there's still time to have a baby if you want to, or something like that.
Yes.
But she doesn't say there's still time to have another baby. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or just time to try again. So it is ambiguous.
It is ambiguous. And it still doesn't explain why she just happens to have this pregnancy belly on hand.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
and
she
also
just
like
was saving it for a rainy day. You know, she likes.
It would be hard to envision her like in the way she lives her life, which is so solitary and like sort of locked in the dungeon of her home, like kind of forced to take care of her mother. Doesn't really seem like she has friends. Her only job is like from a staffing agency, so it's like a temp kind of thing. Doesn't seem like she would have a very active social life or
you mean
sex
life?
You think?
Yeah.
I just don't know if I could picture that wig fucking.
Yeah,
maybe she had the belly.
Fucking unwrapped, like fucking to pregnancy.
Yes.
Maybe she had the belly from the last time she did this scheme. You know what I mean? Like that's
maybe
like she had already, so she, but
Yeah.
then had convinced herself that it was real.
She wants to appear breedable. Twisted, sick.
Well, because there's all these lies she does. But we don't know actually if they're lies.
Right.
Like,
We don't know.
Right.
did
Yeah.
she go to
she went to North Korea.
North Korea?
Oh yeah, the other lie that she tells, or one of the other ones, is that to her coworkers, oh yeah, I just went on vacation to North Korea, and they're kind of like, I don't think that's like a place you can vacation to, and she's like, no, yeah, I did, and then she has like all these pictures to show them.
It's so good, honestly.
Even
this
the one guy's like,
script is
my wife
amazing.
is Korean, and I think that like my wife cannot go, and she is Korean, so I feel like you didn't.
Yeah, I feel like, and then
Yeah.
he's like looking at the pictures, like, oh, okay, I mean,
Because they're obviously probably just Photoshopped.
Yes,
Yeah.
That was
because
such
they're all
a good
just
move.
her in front of landmarks, like selfies of her. Yeah.
Isn't she like in one part under her breath? Isn't she like, and there's me in front of something Korean? Doesn't she say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like lettering.
And they go, what does it say? And she goes, I don't know, it's Korean.
Honestly, this script was so smart in the ways that
Yeah.
it like doled out information like that.
Yeah.
And then there was the one part later when I think she told J. Smith Cameron, like, was it J. Smith? I can't remember, but I also don't remember details of movies very well. But she mentioned like, I turned down a job in India or something like that. And you're like, wait, did she? But then she couldn't get a passport because she doesn't have a birth certificate. So there were all these like things seeded throughout where you were like, oh, you kind of question it.
They don't
but-
give like a ton of information, but they're really careful and like, I don't know what's the word, like planned out with what details they do give.
Yeah.
Because
it's really
she
thoughtful about it.
does, because you do see, and this is the part that Kat and I rewound, that when she goes into her mother's file cabinet looking for her birth certificate, there's a manila folder that says birth certificate and nothing is in there.
That
so
is
you're
true.
like, oh, okay, so maybe she wasn't lying about the birth certificate thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, but then also,
Right.
or was
also-
it in there at one point and she took it out? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Can I just say, also just pausing on that moment, the way you described that, Nigel, that is such a thing of like, if we were making that movie, I guarantee you, the discussion on should we write birth certificate on a manila envelope, that would be like a 30-minute discussion of just like who has an envelope. Like, those are the things that are fun to figure out as a filmmaker because it makes sense why they did it. I mean, that's kind of the only, I couldn't think of a better way to do it, but
Only way that you could have like, or like an empty frame on the wall with like a
to
plaque
show
that says birth certificate and it's missing.
To show the
There's, like
absence.
a dust spot behind it or something.
Exactly. But I love those moments as a filmmaker where you're like, wait, how do we show that this particular thing is missing?
Yeah.
So
And let you know that it's that specific item.
it has to be that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
all those
interesting.
lies were really fun. The North Korea thing really got me. I thought that was so funny and like smart,
Yeah.
But it is so smart the way that she drops those crumbs of like what could be a lie and what could be real and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it just leads you down that path where
Yeah,
eventually you want it to be real. So
Yeah.
at least I did.
I did. Yeah.
I think also important to know is that even though she kind of is a schemer and she's like lying constantly and like making shit up, she's never scamming people for money or like with malicious intent, really. She's scamming people to make friends, which is like
She's
twisted,
defined
but
belonging.
Like
yeah.
sad. That's so true.
like it's sad. Yeah, she just like wants attention and wants connection, and like probably doesn't have a lot of self-esteem or like much in the way of personality or like experience, because she spent her whole life taking care of her mom, who she says has been ill for a very long time, that like she doesn't know how else to like connect with people, probably.
Yeah.
So it's not like malicious, everything that she's doing. It's just she is damaged psychologically.
She's lonely. Yeah.
She's lonely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her mom does die suddenly.
Spoiler alert.
She was like complaining about her hand hurting, and they just like kind of passed it off. Oh, it's probably normal, and then she dies, which is very upsetting.
Well,
to
Nancy doesn't take her to the doctor.
Yeah.
The mom is like, I think we should go to the doctor now.
Oh.
And then Nancy is like, oh, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
We'll go later. And she's like, you always say later. And I think we should go now. And then
Right.
Nancy kind of storms out. And then later she's dead.
Well, initially, like, she didn't take her because she was planning a secret date with John Leguizamo. So she like kind of had other priorities. But then even when she comes home
she
from
didn't
that
have
date,
time.
yeah, they're like cuddling, and her mom's like, I think this one's different. Like, I know you're thinking the hand pain is like all the other times there was pain, but like this one, my hand is really fucked up. And she's like, nah, we'll go a different time. Like, it's probably nothing. And maybe they do have a history of like these kind of episodes of like her going through something and then going all the way to the hospital, going through a whole thing, and then them being just like, no, you have Parkinson's. Like, it's just part of the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You really don't know.
And maybe she just doesn't believe women.
There you go.
Well, why should she? She is a woman who you should not believe. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she has trouble believing her own kind.
So a woman dies because she wasn't believed. Hashtag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So sad. R.I.P.
Goodbye, Ann Dowd.
Ann
Yeah,
Dowd.
I know. I was shocked. I was like, what?
We wanted her to stick
Ann
around
Dowd?
longer.
She's in the movie for like 5 minutes and then she's passed away.
No, I was totally expecting in like a third act climax where they're, screaming at each other in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's interesting to think how she would have reacted if the other part of this story had still happened while her mom was alive. But I think like her mom dying is important to like her emotional journey, like the explanation of like where she was emotionally when she sees this news story, and like kind of instigates the second act.
And then it leaves more open to the mystery of where she's from and what she can
Nobody's there to answer the question.
project onto her mom.
Exactly. So she sees this news story about a couple of parents whose daughter went missing 30 years ago. And you kind of see some wheels turning behind her little eyes. And they show like an age progression photo of what the little girl would look like were she around today. And it looks just like her. And she goes, oh, well, that's me. It's clearly me. The facts are adding up in that I always hated my mom. Like, my real mom sucks shit. So seems like I could have been kidnapped.
Now, did you expect, like I did, a blonde hair dye moment then? I thought
it would have
because the photo and the age progression photo, it's the movie poster too, right? She's blonde.
Yeah, that's the spooky movie poster that we alluded to, is like her printing out that picture and putting it over her own face to see if it lines up or whatever.
A life-size
and it pretty
photo.
much does, besides the eyes looking different directions.
Yeah, one side is blonde and one side is
and
Nancy.
the blonde. Yeah. One's an angel and one's a devil, goth and
No, but I said a silent prayer. I said, please let her dye her hair blonde and let's say goodbye to this wig. But that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It would have been a good idea. Yeah. But also black box dye, so hard to get rid of.
Yes. Yes.
And she had freshly dyed with
Yes.
black.
Yeah.
So if she had tried in her home
Yeah.
to
Like the character
to
of Nancy,
remove-
it would be really hard for her to do that blonde, the bleach and
Yeah.
tone. It would look really bad, probably.
and in one setting, like she would have just fried it absolutely off.
Yeah. And it would have gotten even bigger and more poofy and weird. Yeah. Damn it.
She would have looked even crazier showing up to these people's house.
Honestly,
damn
I
it.
love that idea. Like, she tries to dye her hair blonde. I haven't seen that in a movie, but she just, like, botches it.
It comes out all splotchy, like black box dye, like famously will make your hair turn like red or
Yeah.
orange or whatever, like when you try and bleach it.
Yeah.
It's like impossible to get blonde after black box dye.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been funny.
Could have been a moment.
Could have been a
It's
moment.
a real missed
but
opportunity there.
yeah.
That's going to be in your next film, Kat.
I think it's so good. Also, because I've dyed my hair so much where I'm like, yes, I know this journey of like exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying. Of it doesn't lift out of your hair.
It does not. No, you have to commit.
Yeah, you have to commit. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to that one.
Before we leave the setting of their house, too, I want to talk about their house because I loved their house, like the set of their house, I guess. It's like so like messy and kind of lived in, you know, and I just think it's like, I don't know, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
It is
It
just
felt
like
very
a small
real.
house.
Like it felt
It's
very,
very
real.
real,
Like
yeah.
it felt very like East Coast, New England.
Yeah.
Poor
people's
normal
house.
person
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Or like,
Like old furniture,
Grandma's
lots of
house.
stuff. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Like I've been in that house.
Yeah, and I love to see it. A lot of just the more movies that are coming out these days, you just see less and less going on in the homes or just absolutely unrealistic houses. Like, what's the movie I watched recently? Oh, Randall Park's new movie. Did you guys see
What
that?
is it?
I don't remember what
is
it was called.
Okay, I haven't
remember
seen
what
it.
it was called. But I just remember watching that movie and everyone in it, like, lives in these like lavish rich people apartments, but they're like seem like normal people, you know, and I'm like, it doesn't add up and
Doesn't make any
everything
sense.
looks like it's in a magazine. Like it doesn't look like anyone actually lives in this home or that any of the cast even like touched anything in the room.
Yeah.
That is a that really is a trend, and I
Yeah.
feel like it is insidious and, and annoying, and
Yes.
especially
And I hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless it's
especially
like-
I'm not interested in seeing how rich people live, really.
Right, right.
I want to see self-reflected.
Yeah. Unless it's like meant to be stylized, I think it's just like, it's kind of like the trend with, I don't know if it's a trend, but when I see lighting that looks like studio light, like it's like that perfect too bright lighting, that is the most annoying thing to me, or it just takes me out of it. The same way if everything's symmetrical and, you know, glossy. I feel like they did such a good job of the production design with the house where it just feels like,
Yeah.
you know, you're like in this lived in kind of mess.
Yeah.
Just like all the production design we did on Leonard's messy apartment, right, Nigel?
That's right.
And
yeah.
it was so clever that like Leonard had just moved, so like you didn't have to do too much to the space, like because he just moved. So
Yeah.
it explains anything.
Yeah.
he was mid mess.
Yeah, mid mess. So just throw a bunch of shit in boxes, easy,
Yeah.
calculated, easy. But like you didn't have to worry too much about like how it was decorated or whatever.
Yeah.
But even in these movies where they like the set is so impeccably rich, you're right. It doesn't feel like they ever touched anything in there because like rich people have homes that feel lived in a lot of the
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because they
Tell us more
live
about the
there.
rich people you know.
I know too.
All the rich celebrity houses I've been in.
They're messy as hell.
Some are. You know.
I bet.
These rooms are just so like placed. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Also, the way they used lighting when she's still in her normal home.
Yeah.
They wanted the space to feel kind of really claustrophobic. So all the lighting comes from what the filmmakers called unfriendly sources. So like TV, fluorescent light bulbs. It's all just like very cold, even like everything looks kind of blue and cold. And so then when she leaves that space and goes to the other family's home, it's like a big, bright, open, lots of natural sunlight, warm lighting throughout the house. Like there's such
Nice
a
lamp.
difference. Yeah. There's such a difference in like the entire vibe between the two spaces. And they also
the food styling.
Oh my God.
yeah, the food too.
That was so genius. They have a full spread.
They widen the aspect ratio in that moment too, like when she's leaving her normal home. And it like makes it extra striking when she's walking out the door. We get that one last like browse of the space, I guess. Like the camera just kind of pans the space so you get a full view of the home. And in that moment is like the same moment when they are like slowly widening the aspect ratio. So it makes you take in that, like, I don't know, the lived-inness and the gorgeousness of the set of her normal home before she leaves, even more just because it's like you're really widening up and seeing it. And then, of course, her horizons are widened after.
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually we meant to go back because we missed that exact moment when it happened. But then when she got to the new house, we're like, wait a second, the aspect ratio is different. Like it must have happened.
Yeah, Kat turned to me and was like, did the aspect ratio change?
It's very subtle. Like they do it pretty slowly.
So it's great that you recapped that because I'm like, oh, that's how that happened. Because I remember the moment you're talking about when they show the house for the last time, but I must have missed the exact transition because then it just got to where it was wide and we were like, oh, okay, we're here now.
I just felt like that
so
last
cool
look.
That it was almost subliminal, you know?
Yeah, that last look was very striking, and I feel like that had a lot to do with it. Like it's that suddenly like your eyes are so much wider. I guess kind of like your film eyes.
Yeah, and it's more comfortable in your body too, just to watch something in that widescreen. Like it's just we're just used to it, and so it does have that, you know, claustrophobic feel when you're kind of like cropped in. Yeah.
She's been suffocating in the small crop.
And in that,
that's right.
In her wig.
And the wig.
Yeah, small crop, big wig. It's tight in there.
Taking up the entire frame and the entire space.
Entire frame. Yes.
Bless her heart. Finally gets a full frame to fit that thing in.
Yes.
So yeah, she had called the mom of the couple on TV and been like, I saw you on the news. I'm pretty sure I'm the daughter that you missed 30 years ago or whatever. Just because, like, basically I can't find my birth certificate and my normal mom's a bitch. So I think facts are adding up.
Yeah.
We were gasping during that scene. Gasping. Also, it was so funny. Okay, Also, did you think this movie was very funny? I thought there were so many moments that were so... This is my thing with, like... There were so many moments that was the phone call.
Okay, Kat's twisted.
I'm sick in the head. But the phone call, how it kept cutting and she would walk towards the door and then the phone would ring and she'd have to turn around and go back to the phone. Like, I just thought the timing was
a landline, by the way.
A landline. But I just thought the timing was so great. Like, it was so satisfying. I loved that scene. I think you did too, Nigel.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. And I thought J. Smith Cameron played it so beautiful. I thought she was superb.
We can absolutely go off about the acting in this movie. The performances were given.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
She was incredible, and she doesn't believe her, and then she's like, okay, well, send me a picture of you right now. And then Leslie takes... Wait.
Nancy.
Leslie to Leslie.
Who's Leslie?
To Leslie.
To Nancy takes a picture of her. She just takes like a very crude selfie.
Yeah.
And we
doesn't smile either. She's not a grinner.
We learn later she's not photogenic. And she goes into the film.
Oh, yeah.
The
she
photo
gets
studio.
real skittish in front of it. But
yeah.
Then she sends it, and then immediately J. Smith Cameron looks at it and is like, as soon as I saw the photo, like, can you come here right now? And then that sets us off on our journey.
Yeah,
exactly.
But like, I thought like that was so interesting that like, you know, it wasn't like she dyed her hair.
Yeah.
Right.
To try to look like to Brooke. Brooke is the name of the child.
Oh, yeah.
She, you know, she doesn't try to look more like this person.
Right.
But something in the photo, she resembles her so much that the mother is like, oh my God, you have to come right now.
And they also...
This 35-year-old woman reminds me of my 4-year-old daughter.
Well, they also, you end up learning that the mom, or J. Smith Cameron, I can't remember her name, but she is more willing to believe in the illusion or the possibility than Steve Buscemi. Like, she's more hopeful. So
she's more optimistic.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, the phone call thing, the timing of it was funny, but her performance was like so moving. Like, it felt so real. And she's great. Yeah, we were drawn in.
She really like adds something huge to this movie. Like, if it was someone else in that role, I don't know if this movie would have made it. I don't know. Yeah. Like her specific performance is like so crucial to this movie, I think.
Yeah. I mean, she has got to go on a real journey, you know, actor's arc.
Yeah.
Like,
a mother's
she's got
journey.
A lot of complex notes to hit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much of what their characters are is just in the performance. Like, because we aren't given a ton of like personality details on specifically J. Smith Cameron's character or Steve Buscemi. Nancy we get a little bit of, or we can deduce, but a lot of their like character development is just in the performance, making sure that they seem like a person who has like emotional depth and like a past and everything, you know?
Yeah.
She's an academic. Yeah, we don't really know too much about
like,
her.
Is she funny? Like, I don't know. We don't know.
Right. Well, we know she kept what's her name? Brooke.
Yeah.
She kept her room as a shrine.
Yeah. And we see that pretty often in movies with a missing child. It's like they just shut the door and never open it again. 30 years is kind of a long time.
That's so long.
Really long. Yeah.
To just keep a room, like a spare room occupied like that. I mean, yeah, that's a long time.
And it does seem like they have a big house, so like maybe they have other spare rooms. We don't know. So like the actual space of it all, like
rooms.
They
don't lodge her there. Yeah, they put her right in Brooke's bed.
Yeah, doesn't she open the door and she's like, I hope this is okay? Or she's like, do you want to sleep downstairs instead? But like that's the first option.
Yeah. It's like a toddler's bed that's like on the ground and like surrounded by like stuffed animals or whatever.
Yeah, that's a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's supposed to clue us into how desperate J. Smith Cameron's character really is to believe.
And so then in opposition, we have Steve Buscemi, who plays the father of the couple who lost a child, being like so skeptical, like kind of not having it at all, allergic to the cat also. So he's just like, I'm not having either of y'all. Like, I don't know about this entire thing. And he's also, speaking of performances, I think he's giving the least out of this whole movie. I didn't feel a lot coming off of him. Personally. You guys have thoughts.
I feel like I think his character was the least interesting, and I felt that, to me, he's so funny. Like, I felt like it was like the Buscemi meter was turned down all the way because he was just sort of try. I mean, he is a great, you know, he has a range, but I just felt like he was like, it was pretty subdued, everything that he was doing.
Yeah.
But
I agree. Yeah, it felt like he could have. Yeah, it sort of felt like he showed up and was like, "Yeah, I can do this."
He's in paycheck
and didn't really like put really the thought that those other two really did into it.
They're like giving everything, and they don't give a shit that it's a little indie or whatever. Like, they're giving it all, and he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, I guess I'm playing a dad in something, whatever. Like,
yeah, they're giving us diva. And then
Yeah.
he's like the dad who's just, but I liked that he didn't like Nancy.
And I thought he was I thought he was fine. Like, I don't have any huge qualms.
He's
with
like
his
okay, but just
performance.
like I feel like it kind of stands out how much he wasn't trying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And
You're
like I do
right.
like Steve Buscemi, like don't get me wrong, obviously like iconic man in history.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not gonna tell him. It's fine.
Yeah, he'll never listen to this.
No, I don't think so.
So, but it just was kind of noticeable how much he
Yeah.
wasn't giving.
Yeah.
So between like her being in her normal home and getting here, she has come up with more details and like spun a whole little story of like what happened to her. Because once she arrives, because initially the phone call is like, yeah, I don't know, I can't find my birth certificate, it just kind of like seems like things are adding up. And then once she gets there, she's like, oh yeah, I remember like holding your hand and like losing you and being scared. And so she's like spun a tale by the time she gets there.
Yeah.
And continues to like kind of add in new details that she quote unquote remembers throughout her time
like
there.
the treehouse.
The treehouse.
Yeah. Treehouse was a big moment. So they do a DNA test, but it'll take 2 to 3 business days. So we have 2 to 3 business days to figure out if they're family or not just by vibes.
You know that's the first thing the did she write it, the director? She did,
Yeah.
right? You know that's one of the first questions she Googled. How long does it take for DNA? Because like, if you don't have those 2 to 3 days, the movie really,
I feel like it's got to be quicker by now. I mean, it's only been a few years ago, but
yeah.
I guess I don't really know.
I don't know.
But like, I just feel like there's a lot of information they can get from blood like within a minute or two these days.
Well,
DNA
they did
feels
saliva. Yeah.
like, well, I guess they did do
I
saliva.
mean, she did
I don't know
ask,
the science on saliva.
She did ask to expedite it, remember?
Yeah.
But I
They
did
were
wonder
like-
that too. I was kind of like, okay, screenwriting, you know what I mean? How much time can we give them to like have enough
Like if
scenes?
Maury can do it during the duration of an episode,
Right. Wait.
I feel like
Right.
Wait, you're right. Huh.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it could have been faster and maybe it's just a plot device.
But did Maury do it during the
wondered
episode
that.
or before the airing? Before the show?
We don't know. We're never going to know. And there's actually no way to find
There's
out.
there's no way to find out.
Well, hold on. Let me call Maury, who has a famously messy rich person's house.
Nigel's got him on speed dial. From how many times Nigel has not been the father.
Every single time I have not been the father. Every single time.
But they do, like, even though Steve Buscemi is super skeptical, they take her in so fast and they are basically like, move in with us. Like, you live here now. You're not out of our sight.
She's like, here's
Don't
Thanksgiving.
leave.
Like the food spread was insane.
That was amazing.
Out of control. Yeah.
Yeah.
For just 3 people, there's so many dishes involved. Like,
Yes.
they're like thinking of the cleanup.
Yes.
And red wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of nice red wine.
All of it. And she did bring her cat, which is named Paul, too, which is just like a cute name
My
for a
other
cat.
favorite performance was by
Paul.
that
Was the
actor.
cat.
Yeah.
Even Paul was giving more than Steve Buscemi in some scenes.
Well, that shot where they lock Paul in the sunroom for the first time, and then Paul runs up to the door, I was like, oh, bravo, Oscar for cat.
Yes.
He's giving meows at all the right times,
Yeah.
Yeah.
looking sad just when he needs to.
He was perfect.
In the earlier parts of the film, he's like hungry exactly when he needs to be, like gorgeous performance from Paul. So the cat does escape though once, which instigates the scene where she has to go romping through the woods and then comes upon the remnants of the treehouse. And so when she returns from that trip where she has seen the treehouse in the woods, she comes up with this new detail of her story, which is that she remembers playing in the treehouse in the woods. And due to the revelation of this memory, this is the first time when Steve Buscemi accepts her as his child, too. When he says, "Oh yeah, I built it for you." Like refers to the missing child and her as the same person, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas like the mom has been kind of doing that all along. Like as soon as she came in the house, she's like, "This is your room. Do you remember your toys?"
Yeah.
But Steve Buscemi has not been in that mode, and that moment is the first time he is in that mode. So they're both getting kind of sold on it.
Was that before or after he took her photo?
I don't remember, because his scenes in the photo booth and all that were so like kind of nothing to me.
Yeah.
Because he takes her photo. I just remember he takes her photo, and then we see him later and he's looking at the photo, and you get the feeling that he's like, oh, that is her.
Yeah, he's starting to buy
there's something about Nancy in photos.
There's something about Nancy.
Looks like Brooke.
Well, we saw the age progression. I mean, it does look like her. It's kind of crazy how much it looks like her.
Yeah.
And you're really unclear all the way through, I guess, just how much Nancy believes it.
Yeah.
Like, what has she pretzeled in her mind into being like, because when she does see the treehouse, she has that moment where she's like, and it's not like she's getting an idea.
Yeah.
It's like
it is almost like she's
having a memory.
Yeah.
But it's that fun place where it's like, is it a memory or is it my imagination?
Or is she coming up with a story to tell them when she gets back to the house?
Yeah.
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 It's one of my favorite games. Is it a memory or did I just make it up? You know?
Yeah.
You'll never know.
It happens to all of us to some extent.
Yeah. I like what I think is really fun about this movie is that when you're watching it, you know, there's so many things that kind of play with that line of like, is she or isn't she this person, Brooke, who is kidnapped? And, you know, like the treehouse moment or the nail in the foot moment where they like check for a thing and they're kind of like, is that the scar? Is that not the scar? And so there's all these things that they're building a case for her to be Brooke, and she's maybe even convinced, you know, that
convincing herself.
But what I love
when he asks if she has a scar, she's like, well, let me show you. Which foot was it?
Yeah.
Like, I'll bust out my foot right now.
Right. And she literally takes her boot off and then she's like, maybe it's on the other foot. And they're kind of like, is that it? But then they cut away. But what I love is the audience. What's so fun about it is you're just waiting for it to crash and burn. Like you're just like, we've established that she's a liar. And so she's sort of like this untrustworthy narrator.
Yeah.
And like, you just expect that it's not going to turn out well for Nancy, you know?
Or even like something else that I think is cool is like she is giving sort of more and more little snippets of her backstory throughout her time there. Like, oh, I didn't have a dad. He disappeared before I was born. I had kind of these rotating dads and they would come in my room at night, etc.
Oh, right. Is that real?
And like, well, we don't know, but like every detail she gives about her personal life is like more and more sad to the degree where at some point you're kind of like, I kind of hope that this is her real family. Like, like I want her to be their kid after a while, like so that she can have that like motherly love and like good parenting that these people want to give her or whatever.
Absolutely.
So it's like for a while you're like, well, the shoe's gonna drop, she's a fraud, you know, and then you're like, well, then like maybe is she part of this? And then you're like, I don't know if she is or not, but like I hope she is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird journey. Wild journey.
What also I like about it is that you don't see Nancy trying too hard, like to be the daughter, you know what I mean? Like she's not on her best behavior, really, you know, she's still kind of a pill and she's
she doesn't,
you know, she's demanding the cat.
She doesn't really have social skills. It's like if you're staying at someone's house, I would be mortified if the person was allergic to the. Like she's like trying to bring
and
the
she's
cat
chain
in.
smoking.
She's chain smoking. I like that's a
chain
good
smoking
point.
in their dead daughter's bedroom.
Yes.
That has been like a shrine to the daughter.
We did notice that.
She's
It was
just
an
smoking in
indoor.
there.
Yeah, it was an indoor smoking.
It's like a blowing out the window, but we all know that's fake. Like the smoke is not going out the window.
No.
Yeah, and she's
No,
just
honey.
weird. She's a weird. She is just a weirdo.
She's a creep.
Yeah. Also, LOL, so she's like the writer. She's a writer, and then she shows her writing to J. Smith Cameron, and J. Smith Cameron's like, it's really good. There's a ton of grammatical errors, but it's good stuff.
She is famously like a bad writer. Like the first part of the movie is like her receiving many rejection letters from like trying to submit her writing to stuff.
And yet, John Leguizamo says that she's a good writer on her. You know what I mean? He says that there's something about her on her blog, and I don't know. So you don't really.
He
know.
connected with
but
her.
she is obviously getting rejected from these like prestigious literary like publications.
But the mom is like a prestigious literary freak. Like she's like a college literary professor of some type.
Yeah.
The words were too big for me.
Right. Too big of words. But it makes sense because she's convinced, you know, that she's her daughter. So she's treating her not like a student, but like the way you would treat a kid of like, oh, it's good, you know, keep working on it. And like, it's kind of fun.
And I think it's also like her grasping at straws for like connection. Like maybe we are family because like I like this female author and you also like this female author. I like writing. You also like writing. There's like a cat's connection. Like the daughter, we later find out, went missing due to like going after a cat or something. Yeah. And so then she shows up with a cat. It's like, okay, like facts
and
are
we don't.
adding up.
That's one of the last things we find out. That maybe was one of the clues as to why she latched onto her so quickly because
of
Nancy
Paul.
was so attached to this cat.
Yeah.
And the last time that she saw her daughter was running towards a cat.
So it's all connected.
Yeah.
So the mom does get the DNA call, or at least we assume, because we don't actually hear the call, but it seems like that's what's happening, is that she gets the DNA call with the results, and it seems like it's not a match. It's a negative result. And she just seems like really kind of dejected and, I don't know, like at a loss, sort of, after receiving this phone call. And they were just about to go on a walk that they drive to, which I thought was interesting since they do live in the woods. But they get in the car to drive somewhere to go on a walk that is also in the woods. And she, once they're there, does tell the story about the girl disappearing in relation to the cat. And that's the first time that she refers to the missing child as Brooke by her name instead of as you, which she has been referring to the child as the same person as Nancy this whole time until that moment. So it is like she has separated them now in her mind. It's very obvious. And she just looks really sad. And I think that's really when you're like waiting for the moment of like, okay, when are they gonna give her the boot then? Because like now it's confirmed. Like she's for sure not part of this family, basically.
I was shocked they still went on the walk.
Same.
Yeah, I think Nancy was too. And she looked so guilty the whole time too. Like she's just waiting for J. Smith to be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I guess get out of my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't spend the night.
Like, you're not it.
Yeah, I am not the mother. But so once they do go on this walk, they had set up that it is hunting season previously. And you know, once she mentions earlier in the film, wear bright colors, it's hunting season. Okay, later that's definitely going to come back into play. So it does. There's a hunting accident where a kid shoots his brother, I guess. And in that emergency, Nancy steps up and is like, I got you. Like, I'll put pressure on the bullet. We're calling 911. You know, stay awake. We're taking care of this kid. And seeing her provide that care to another person is when J. Smith is kind of like, well, even though we're not biologically parent-child, maybe I don't care. Maybe we can still vibe. Mm-hmm. She seems good in her heart, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my question. Like, what was it about that?
Yeah.
What was it about seeing Nancy do that changed her mind? Because it's a pretty big leap.
It is kind of a big leap, but also like what other type of like scenario could you replace it with that would make any more sense? You know, if like your goal is to make Nancy seem like such an empathetic character, like such a big-hearted person or something that like it made you not care that she was a fraud, what other event could have taken that
like
place?
Suddenly it sort of seems like, I feel like Kat, you was saying this when we went, like it seems like, oh well, she has this know-how, she has a past, because it's like sort of the first thing that J. Smith Cameron is seeing that isn't like something that Leslie said she can do or has done. She's That's actually true. Doing something, right?
Yeah, you said Leslie again.
Oh my god!
I didn't catch it, but you're right.
This is the end of Wake Up Leonard. This is the fucking end of Wake Up Leonard.
Oh no!
Diane Lane.
To Leslie, to Nancy, to Brooke, to Andrea.
This is killing me.
Was this a plot? Like Nigel did this on purpose so that he can make the reference to his own movie.
I mean, we can just call her Leslie. It's fine. It's so
no,
funny.
we can't. We actually can't. That's not her name. Her name is Nancy.
Oh my god.
So the whole kind of premise of this movie was actually based on a personal experience of the filmmaker where she had a writing professor who was like so iconic to her and her classmates, but was a fraud, like was lying to the faculty, to even his own wife, everyone, and was not a professor at all. I don't know who he was really, but...
Wait, what? He was not a professor, but was like working at an institution, but didn't have, like made up the credentials to get that job. Wait, what? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but she was like...
And he was the best professor I ever had.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like, he was the best professor. He would say, like, all this stuff that, like, really changed how she thought about stuff. He was so, like... inspirational to like so many students. He had said stuff like that he was a ghostwriter for a big Hollywood franchise and that he was a playwright from Ireland, and all this kind of stuff. And then it turned out he was lying about all of it. But that was like the thought in her mind was like, well, kind of does it matter if he was lying if what I experienced is still the truth and like really authentic and like kind of life-changing? Like his teaching was so important to me. Does it matter if he's lying about being a teacher?
Right.
Or about his like history with the material, I guess.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Wow. Okay, trivia.
Yeah.
Okay, trivia. I love that.
Just a little trivia, but like that also is like kind of what's happening in the movie then is like, does it matter if she's not my daughter if like we did bond on stuff and like we do have this certain like common ground. We do kind of vibe.
Okay.
And like I do also want to mother her, I guess is part of it too, because like J. Smith is very like upset by this girl's traumatic past and like feels bad for her, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That she didn't get opportunity to like
that makes so much sense that that's the backstory, that's where this movie ends.
Where it ends. Yeah.
Because in all honesty, I was kind of like, I don't know if I buy this final chapter. But that makes sense that that's what we were kind of like heading towards the whole time, that question.
Yeah, I sort of was just wanting a more dramatic finale, but that, like Nigel said, it does sort of make sense because it feels like that's sort of based on real life. But yeah, I was expecting something spookier.
Yeah, it could have gone a lot of ways. Ultimately, it didn't. But
I am really glad that it didn't result in violence.
Yeah,
is what I'm. You know what I mean? As you know, a lot of these.
Yeah.
indies do, or lots of movies.
Yeah, me too.
That she remains like an empathetic character. Yeah, and she does feel Nancy feels guilt about lying at this point. She has come out of her like haze of convincing herself that she is the child of these people and is like experiencing their real pain that she has stepped into, and maybe also realizing that like they are not the solution to her pain. It's like when she found them, she had this she had a missing piece. Like, she was missing a parent, but she kind of always was. And had missed, like, having a loving family and a nice childhood and a nice home, but she kind of is an imposter in the space no matter what. And they can't really heal her. So she tries to come out to them at dinner, but ultimately J. Smith Cameron cuts her off and is like, kind of don't. Like, she doesn't want her to say what she's about to say. She's like, hold it off we'll talk about it at a different time. But she feels too guilty and bails in the middle of the night.
Is that when J. Smith Cameron says, I love you no matter what, or something to her? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like when it's really solid. Like, no, I'm kind of into keeping up the facade, whether or not it's the truth. That's like,
and it was implied that she had not told Steve Buscemi yet, probably.
That's true, yeah. And it was never even addressed between them, between Nancy and J. Smith Cameron. We're never going to say J. Smith Cameron's character name. I don't know what it is.
Mom 2.
Mom 2. It was never even addressed between them. It was just kind of, she sort of witnessed the phone call from like around the corner.
Right.
Doing the classic movie peek around the corner and I've witnessed something type of move.
And they both know that they both know.
That's
right.
But it's
exactly.
unsaid.
But it's unspoken.
Unsaid.
Yeah.
And Steve Buscemi's off at work or something.
We don't know what he's doing.
And so he
he's
comes
fucked off
home
somewhere else.
And I got the impression that she had not
absentee
told him that
father
the call
vibes
had come in.
Trigger warning. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't really remember him in that last scene with all of them. Like, does he say anything? They're all having dinner. Right?
I feel like he doesn't say anything, but he's just kind of like, well, another meal with my wife and missing daughter that just arrived after 30 years. Like, he seems like he's still just in the mode he was when they left earlier. But so much has changed in that time.
Yeah, I assume she hasn't told him because he would not
want that.
He would not be having it.
He would give her the boot. Yeah.
Maybe he senses that there's like a thickness in the air, but I don't think he addresses anything.
It's almost like that conversation happens after Nancy leaves.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, by the way, honey, it wasn't her. Oh, okay, good night.
But I'm kind of into being mommy anyway.
Yeah.
Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah.
Eventually the truth's gonna come out and we don't think Buscemi's going to be having it.
No.
So her guilt overtakes her and she does bail in the middle of the night. J. Smith pops up in the window and just watches her drive away. And that's roll creds.
To Nancy.
To Nancy.
To Nancy.
So do we have any final thoughts on this movie? Is there anything we missed? Or we can just go into rating it?
I love John Leguizamo in anything.
Yeah.
I just think he's so great.
Yeah, I love him too.
I mean, he was in it for like all of 5 minutes, but he's just...
or less even.
Or less. Yeah, or less. And I just...
He was big.
Yeah, I just like him a lot. Mm-hmm. That's my final thought.
I just thought it was pretty, those scenes where she first shows up in the house were geniusly written and directed and acted because it was so excruciating.
Yeah.
Watching them try to figure out how to deal with this person who may or may not be their daughter, but probably isn't, and just seems a little off, and her in that world and just waiting for it all to fall apart. It was so suspenseful that it was riveting, and I really thought that was really well done. That middle act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I was terrified.
Yeah, the way they use the camera with Nancy's character specifically a lot too is very like, it's up close on her, it's kind of suffocating to her, but also it's only her in frame a lot of the time. So it still kind of like isolates her, and she's such an isolated person. I think that kind of almost added to her character traits too. It's interesting. All right, let's rate this damn thing. Who wants to go first? Nigel, give this a score out of 5.
I'm gonna give it 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it 3. I'm deducting a full star
for the wig.
A full
As you
star.
should. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wish there's something about that last act that just, to me,
Didn't hit.
Yeah, like I was like, actually, this is less interesting than the setup.
Yeah.
Was. You know what I mean? Like it's such an amazing. I don't know how I would have ended it, but I wish that there was maybe one final beat in there where we see her do something else, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I fully bought that J. Smith camera would be like, oh my God, she saved a boy. Oh, I love her, you know? Even though it was really well acted, I don't know. It felt a little, I don't know. It didn't really feel like something that would actually happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. 3 from Nigel. Kat, what do you think?
I think 3.5.
Okay.
That was the first thing that came to mind. 3.5. I think the script, like the writing, is really fun. Yeah, I was pretty much like hooked in the whole time until the third act as well. And I don't know, coming back to the wig, I just thought it was like a funny choice, and it could have been fun if they leaned into it a little more than they did.
But instead they ignored it, and that's sort of a betrayal to the audience, because none of the audience is ignoring
Exactly.
it.
See, that's what I'm saying. The wig was wearing the movie. You know what I mean? Not the movie wearing the wig.
Exactly. And this is my thing with the wig, the wig acting. It's like, if you're gonna put it on screen, you need to know that we are, we're wig forward. We are seeing it. We are feeling it.
We are in support of wigs.
We are in support of wigs. You just need to invite us in, I think with a little bit more self-aware humor. And I just think there were moments that could have benefited from that, from that.
This movie
awareness.
definitely committed some wig crimes.
Yeah, for me, it did. So I only took off half a star for the wig.
I know. I was harsh. I was too harsh.
No, it's okay. You should stick with stick
with your gut.
Yeah.
Go with your gut.
Yeah.
I think I'm also gonna go 3 though, for real. Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of agree with all of your points. The wig, come on. The wig's part of it. That was a disaster. I also do feel like it's just missing something too, and I don't know what that is, but it didn't hit as hard as it could have, and I'm not sure why or what I would do differently, but yeah, I don't know. It was giving 3 to me.
I wonder if it's... Oh, wait, no, so you go.
No, you say.
I was going to say, I wonder if it's the connection with Nancy and the mom. I wonder if we needed to feel that they made a deeper connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could definitely,
I think we could have felt like Nancy wanted her a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because, it was clear that she did, because her mom was, a bitch. But...
Well, I don't even know if she wanted her as much as she just wanted something.
Yeah.
And then that happened to fall into place.
Yeah.
But she wasn't as committed to assimilating into that environment as she could have been.
That might have helped it a bit.
Yeah.
And that moment.
And also maybe if it was tied to Nancy's grief a little bit more about having just lost her mom, like that was a little out of touch or something, where it was just like, I don't know. Yeah. Even if she didn't like this heinous bitch who raised her and may or may not have kidnapped her, but probably did not.
It could have been cool if she was a kidnapped child, but somebody else's kidnapped child.
See, yes.
And then she goes on a world tour of all the parents of missing children.
That could have been fun.
Are you my mother? Are you my mother?
Also, if Steve Buscemi would commit a little harder, that probably would have given something extra to me too.
Yeah.
But they did pretty good with what they had.
Yeah.
For like a debut feature.
Yeah.
And being an indie, like they really worked the resources, I think. The set design was awesome, like we said, and like some of the stylistic choices they made were really good and like really hit, and especially for a first feature that is not often the case.
It's very confidently directed.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see
what else
the
she
next
does.
thing she does.
Yeah, me too.
Now it's time for
ScreenVomit.
So this is where we talk about whatever else we've been watching lately, TVs, movies, whatever y'all are watching.
Well, I feel like we're watching the same thing, which is we're both obsessed with May December, which is now
I've seen.
You've seen. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now on Netflix. I went to see it in Santa Barbara because it's like the closest movie theater to where I live. We happen to know the screenwriters, no big deal.
Yeah.
Or screenwriter and story writers. And I watched,
I've seen all their shorts,
Invite
obviously.
him on the pod, yeah.
Yes, so great, and it's just so fun.
I'm so excited for them
to be obsessed with it. Like we're obsessed with it. Like we just talk about it all the time. I put it on last night, like just on Netflix, like just to watch casually again. You know,
I want to watch it again ASAP. When I saw it in theaters, the people behind me talked for the entire film.
No,
I was so
Monsters.
pissed off.
rude. Oh my god.
What did they say?
I don't even know what they were saying most of the time, except I'm pretty sure I did hear them address how I kept giving them a stink eye for talking. So I did have to move halfway through the movie to a different chair because I was being driven absolutely insane. But that just meant the first half of the movie, I was just like pissed off the whole time. So I need to rewatch it again. I also, when I watched it, like I knew that it was like based on some idea of real stories, but I didn't know to the extent of which that it was like specifically based on like a certain two people. Like I didn't know it was that specific. And I have, since watching the movie and everybody's talking about it, seen videos of the actual couple that it's based on. And man, the way like Sammy wrote them into the script was so amazing. So I would like to watch it again, also having now that knowledge.
Yeah. Well, they would say inspired by, like
inspired by, not based
like,
on.
It like they basically
legally, allegedly.
Yeah. Because it's sort of like the template of what that was, but not really.
Yeah.
And then a few, of course that famous clip of who is the boss? Who is the boss? Yeah.
Wait, I haven't seen that. That's a real clip?
Oh.
It's a real clip. Yes.
Okay, can you send it to me?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Oh my god.
You have to see it
because she has that line.
It's
in
amazing.
It.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
what?
It's from this interview with Mary Kayla Turno and her then husband, and well, I'll just send it to you.
It's intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
really
and it is very
intense.
directly referenced.
Yes.
It's a very directly inspired part of of the movie.
Yeah.
Not referenced, it inspired.
Yes.
But it wasn't in one of the earlier drafts that I read, because I read drafts of that before it was. Yeah, I think they added that sort of
interesting
closer to shooting.
Yeah, it's so good. It's really
good.
It's really like a masterpiece. So
It is, and it's so unique.
Yes.
It's so unique. I'm so excited about it, and I would be excited about it even if I didn't know them. Like, you just don't get movies like this that are so delicious, but also leave so many questions
with like such morally complicated characters. I love a complicated character.
Exactly. And something about the way it ends, which is like the opposite. Like, this is like what Nancy was trying to do, like with like leaving questions unanswered, but it still feels sassifying somehow.
Yeah. The ending was so perfect for me.
Yeah, because you're like, oh my god, who the fuck is she? You know? And this actress is left scrambling on this crappy movie, like not being able to.
That was awesome too.
Not being able to understand.
And with how much she like talked up how she was gonna like portray the movie and everything.
Her process.
And once they show it, it was just
so
good.
funny, and it's just so, and it's so sad. It's just such a sad.
It's a tragedy.
Movie.
Yeah. And his character at the end, it's like he ends up being the one that you empathize with the most, you know, and like how that changes throughout was so interesting. So yeah.
And that you can have empathy for someone who has, let's say, committed some crimes in such a manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about those morally complicated characters.
Yeah.
Obsessed. That's why I like Todd Solondz films so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
yes. Iconic. Yes.
I just pulled a scene from Happiness for my acting class, and I hope my...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was like, we should do this in class. The opening scene.
Hell yeah.
The John Lovett scene.
Amazing.
Oh, great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, Happiness.
So good.
I love that movie. And nobody's making movies like that.
They're scared.
No,
Yeah,
nobody.
Everything is tied up in a nice little bow, and it's always like, and this is the person's backstory.
Right.
And then this is the resolution, you know.
And
like,
here's how you should feel about it. It's like those movies.
And it's just one way you should feel about each
Right.
person. Like, there's no ambiguity.
The ambiguity
allowed.
is like so deeply queer, you know. It's like that's sort of like the thing. It's like all of these narratives that just kind of like show you how to feel, and they don't really leave room for much else.
Yeah.
We do not have to go down this rabbit hole, but this just kind of sums up my taste. The only TV I've watched recently is Golden Bachelor, or The Golden Bachelor. I don't know.
That's the one with the old people? I haven't watched it.
It's the Bachelor. It's the Bachelor with 70-year-olds. I don't watch the normal Bachelor. It's the only Bachelor I've watched, and it was riveting.
Yeah.
I need to see it.
Hell
That sounds good.
Oh, you haven't seen it either? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
I mean, it's like real weird, but
Yeah.
yeah. You know, I mean, the whole concept.
I know a lot of people are watching it, so it must be good.
I watched it. Yeah, and I enjoyed it. There's a lot to there's a lot to enjoy.
All right, is that all you're watching lately? Them two things? Or anything else you want to say?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, Nigel, what you got?
May, December. I've seen it 3 times, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll wait a second to watch it again on Netflix. But it's so good, and I'm so excited about it.
I'm really excited for Sammy and Alex and their opportunities that they've gotten from this. And
me too.
I love their shorts so much. Longtime fan of their shorts. And I'm just really excited that their creative voices are being allowed out.
Me too.
Yeah.
So exciting.
It's so exciting. I love them so much. And they're just couldn't happen for better people, you know?
Yeah. Aw.
And what else am I watching? I rewatched Far From Heaven.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Never seen it.
Oh, it's the Todd Haynes movie that he made with Julianne Moore like 20 years ago. It's so good.
Okay. I started watching that once and didn't finish it. Is that exciting?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's the best.
Well, I was watching it like while I
was.
was doing stuff, and I was like, oh, this is more of like a pay attention situation. So I stopped, turned it off.
And if you haven't seen Safe, you got to see Safe.
I have seen Safe.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of Todd Haynes shorts too. He has one short that is like my favorite. It's called Dottie Gets Spanked.
Oh yeah.
That's like one of my favorite.
How do we
shorts.
watch that?
I think that one's on YouTube, I believe. It might also be on Canopy.
Cool.
It was for a time. I don't know if it still is. I've seen several of his movies, but I haven't seen that one that you just named, Far From Heaven.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch that tonight.
Fucking good. Gets better and better every time you watch it. It's like an old 50s melodrama, but made in like 2002 or something.
Hell yeah.
It's so good. That's a movie I could watch on repeat.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful and so funny and so
Hell yeah.
sad. And also I'm watching 6 Feet Under again.
Aw. TBT.
They just what?
TBT.
Yeah, they just released it. They just released it on Netflix, and I was like, oh shit! I guess I'm gonna have to watch it on Netflix now. You know?
Yeah, I remember that being a good show. I watched all of it, which says something because I don't watch a lot of shows, and I usually don't make it to the end if I do.
Yeah, I've watched it all many times. I've watched it on DVD. I've watched it on HBO Go.
Well, you probably had to.
HBO Max.
It was like one of the only queer TV shows happening at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When did it start? It was like early 2000s.
That's
Yeah.
my
Is that
memory.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
It was like
never
Queer as
seen
Folk
it.
and 6 Feet Under. Really?
Oh, it's so good.
It has a pretty iconic cast too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Peter
the
Krause.
Dexter guy.
Yep, Michael C. Hall.
I don't know people's names.
Lauren Ambrose.
I love
Frances
her.
Conroy.
Yeah, she's great.
Lauren Ambrose, I'm obsessed with. Yeah, I just remember there being like so many cool people
Rachel
in it.
Griffiths.
Yeah.
It's
Great
so
show.
good.
I do remember when I watched it too, when I got to the end, for some reason I had thought there was another season and then there wasn't. So I was like, this end it's so crazy how they're like, it feels like it's wrapping up, but I guess there's a whole nother season I get to spend with these characters. How exciting. And then there
Wow, because that ending really wraps you up.
it really wraps up. I was like, really fascinating how they still have another season after this. And then they absolutely didn't, and I was heartbroken because
that is one of the most final finale you can ever get.
Wow.
yeah, so pretty devastating for me because I did really like
That
the
is
show.
sad. That would be so sad.
I've had the opposite experience before where I thought it was the end and then there was a whole other season.
I have
Actually,
too.
that's why I haven't gone on with The Bear. The Bear had 8 episodes in its first season, and I got to the end of episode 7 and I was like, how great they wrapped up this season at the end of episode 7. Wrapped it up so nicely. And then I go, it's like, okay, about to start episode 8. And I was like, no, I've already seen the end of the season. And I've never watched it, and I've never watched any more.
You were satisfied.
That was probably the right choice.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You think so?
Well, I don't remember what point that is, but it sounds,
it
you know what
sounds
I
like it
mean?
would
The
work.
body knows.
The
you
body
know?
knows.
Yeah.
And I'm full. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. I will
Thank
stop
you.
eating now. Yeah.
I like know people that are in the second season or that like appear in it at some point. Maybe don't have like a real part, but like
Oh,
appear
yeah,
in it.
Chicago,
So
yeah.
I've like been wanting to watch to see like the people I know, but also I'm like, I already saw the end of this show to me. So like I don't know. I kind of don't want to go into it.
You're good.
It's so dumb, but that's my journey with The Bear.
I love that for you.
I do too.
I think also like as a person who lived in Chicago for a long time, it's like corny level Chicago. Sometimes like the like opening credits or whatever is so like, what do you like word vomit when you think of Chicago? It's like the Cubs, the Tribune, like the the Bean, you know? I don't know. It's like there's no real Chicago in this.
Yeah.
So I get mad because I'm too familiar with the place to like take it as, I don't know, authentic, you know?
Yeah.
Where if you didn't
Yep.
know the place, then you'd be like,
Yep.
oh, this could be true.
Right.
I like the first season better anyways.
Okay, good information. I'll never watch the second season, it turns out, in my life. Okay, I've taken over your I'm watching. What else are you watching? 6 Feet Under.
Oh, yeah. I think that's it.
Sorry, I
don't
took
think
over your
there's any-
section.
Yeah. What else am I watching? I feel like I need, because I'm really digging through the past, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's new? There's so much that's new, but I'm not watching any of that.
I don't know. Have you seen Dream Scenario, either of y'all?
No.
It's in theaters right now. Do you know what it is?
No.
Heard of it?
Yes.
Okay.
How do I
It's
not know?
it's got Nick Cage. It's an A24 movie, but it's directed by Chris Borgli, who it's probably his biggest movie so far. This is his big break too, but he's one of my favorite filmmakers. I just like, he makes a lot of shorts. He's done 2 other features that are both really good too. But I fell in love with his work through his short films. Of course, I
Amazing.
did.
Yeah.
But it's kind of my thing. But so, yeah, he made this big feature with Nick Cage. It's really good. It's like about, so Nick Cage plays just like a dad. He's like a teacher, like classic guy. He has like a horseshoe hair. He looks amazing in the film. But he just like starts popping up in everyone's dreams like around the world. And it becomes like this huge phenomenon. And then let's just say there's twists and turns from there. And Borgley's known for being a pretty twisted guy. So it's super like kept his personality and his flavor, even though it is like a bigger movie, which is sometimes hard to do with like indie filmmakers, you know, like their shit gets so watered down by the time it makes it out. And I don't feel like it got watered down at all. I guess I don't really know if it did or not, but it doesn't feel like it did anyway.
Well, that's the magic of A24. I feel like they, you know what I mean?
They let that
a
shit
track
slide.
record of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He had another feature come out maybe even earlier this same very year called Sick of Myself.
I watched that.
Yeah, so it was like a smaller release, but it did still get a theatrical release. It was just limited. Mm-hmm. But that movie was so successful that maybe he was then allowed to do something else that was weird.
Kind of wacky.
Because he like proved that he could do something really fucking weird and have people love it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm definitely going to watch that.
So that's one thing I watched.
Yes.
On my side.
Yeah, I want to see that.
And what else have I watched? I watched a web series, The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
we have. Yes, we have.
I feel like you would have seen this.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
I had never watched it, though.
Iconic.
Yeah,
Wait,
it is iconic.
What year was that?
I think 2016 or so.
Yeah, that sounds right. That was like one of the first years I lived in LA that they were making that.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. Ate that right up.
I know, that's
only
so
5
fun.
episodes, though. I was kind of depressed.
Yeah.
I need more.
Yep. We all
It was
needed
really
one.
good.
I'm
Why
so
is
glad
it only
that's,
5?
That's out there making waves. I know why. It should have been more. Give us more.
We need more. We need season 2 8 years later
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, his show just got picked up by FX. Brian Jordan Alvarez's show. Yeah.
amazing.
So he's
cool.
making stuff with a lot of those same people, but
Oh, really?
it's not,
Awesome.
for money. So that's cool.
Hell yeah.
So that like led to great things. That was a big hit.
That's great.
I guess that is like, he started popping off after that, right? Because he's like a celeb now.
I think so. Yeah.
He's like huge now.
yeah.
That rocks. And Freckle in the show, so iconic. Got all the best lines. Did amazing.
Sometimes things that are expensive are worse. the iconic
I posted
line.
that line on Instagram and got so many DMs like, I say this in my house all the time, like this is the most iconic line of the season. Like
I think
people
about that
love Freckles
all the
lines. Yeah.
all the time. It's so true.
and their delivery on it
their
is like
delivery
so
is so
slow and metered. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole sequence was so amazing. In that episode.
yeah, true.
I need to revisit this too.
Great show. It's on YouTube. Just watched it. And I guess the only other thing I've watched recently that's like worth noting, I kind of watched this a little bit ago, but I haven't talked about it on the pod yet, was Antiviral, the Brandon Cronenberg movie. I guess I'm obsessed with Brandon Cronenberg because I've loved all of his movies that I've seen. I loved Is it Possessor? Yeah, Possessor, not Possession. I don't know. Whichever one it is. I get the 2 movies confused. Their titles, they're too close. Whichever one it is, I watched the director's cut of that like earlier this year. Absolutely obsessed with it. Antiviral, same thing. Absolutely obsessed. Such a cool premise. It's like people pay to be infected with the same viruses that their favorite celebrities have. So it's like kind of dystopian future type thing, but there's also like some body horror and just like a really unique and creative idea, and like the main actor gives like such a crazy performance. So really loved that movie. And I guess that's really kind of all I have going on too. I've only watched bad movies besides that. Pretty much. Oh, and I watched you guys' movie earlier today. That wasn't a bad movie, but I've already seen it. That's like the 3rd time I've watched that movie. So
Oh my god.
but I needed a refresher before. It's been a while. I think the last time I saw y'all's movie was at the film fest that we met at, Kat, which was
Heartland.
Yeah, I'm like, when was that? I have no idea.
It was like last October, because that was the last time
Yeah.
I was in Indy.
Yeah.
It was like last October.
So I think that was the last time that I had watched y'all's movie, but that wasn't the first time I'd seen it either. So
Yeah.
it had been a minute though.
Yeah.
But it was great to catch up. Good movie.
Aw, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while too. If you're out there, check out Wake Up Leonard on streaming services.
Yeah, that brings us right into plugs. So what do we have to plug, y'all?
We are plugging Wake Up Leonard.
Yes.
Right.
Still.
After all these years.
After all these years. Now.
One day we'll make another film.
Yeah, we will. We needed to
But
recover.
for now,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a process with this one, and you wanted to do it all the way. It's your first feature.
Yeah.
Nigel, is this the first feature that you've like starred in? 'Cause you've been in other movies, but
yes.
this is like your first
Yeah.
big
Yes.
guy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yes.
No, definitely.
So-
First time leading a movie. Yeah.
Leading man.
Yeah, no,
Leading man
I've done bit
vibes.
parts in other features, but this is definitely.
Yeah, so it's like kind of a huge moment for both of y'all. So you had to really go all in.
Yes, we went all in. And also, like, behind the scenes of indie filmmaking, Nigel has been holding my hand with this movie until, weeks. I mean, literally, it's like every step of the way, there's just so many things that we've had to be like, well, I guess we have to learn how to mix sound now, or, I mean, we had a sound mixer, but like certain things where we had to like fix things, or, it's just like, it's
The
been
nature of DIY.
a lot of Googling, how to do
Yeah.
this in this app.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, when they need the stuff for the thing, and we're like, oh my god, we have to figure out how to get the stuff for the thing,
How do we do that?
Otherwise, people aren't going to be able to watch the movie,
Literally.
and we have to figure that
Exactly.
out.
Yeah, so it's
and what's so
it's
funny
been a
is that
journey.
it has been a long time. Like it's been 3 years, and yet I can't imagine it going any faster. Like we made this so pretty fast, which is also sort of sobering when you think about how long it takes to make a movie and how how long it takes from starting from nothing till having it be on Amazon.com, iTunes, or streaming on Deku.
Deku, the premier streaming service for gay men.
Hell yeah.
But anybody can subscribe.
Anyone can subscribe.
Allies allowed.
Yeah. Credit card holding allies allowed.
Yes. Money's money, and we'll take it.
Yeah, it's
Hell
really
yeah.
interesting. You'll see our next movie will hopefully not take another, 6 years.
Are you guys working on anything else, or are you still
Well,
recovering?
Kat made an amazing short.
I made a
that will be at
short.
festivals soon.
Yeah, I made a short that I'm waiting to hear where it's gonna premiere. I don't know yet, but hopefully somewhere cool next year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be in the pipeline.
Yes.
Does it have a name?
Yes,
Or
it's
no?
called Celeste in Spring,
Okay, cool.
and it's
We'll
about
keep
a
our eyes out for that.
pregnant lady.
Nice.
I was fortunate to see an early cut. It's awesome.
Yeah, Nigel gave me some feedback on it, and I feel like it's very different from Leonard, but it's also like, in the canon. It's in my of my brain, but
It has your style.
I think so. I've been told that.
Nice.
I hope so.
It
It's always
does.
so
It
hard
has
to
your
tell.
it has your tone and it has your sense of humor.
Thank you.
And your sense of rhythm, and it's beautiful, and there's unexpected turns and things. It's cool.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
I can send it to you, Kayla, if you want to see it.
Well, yeah, send it to me.
I know you're kind of into shorts.
I'm a little bit into shorts. And where can people find you guys online if they want to see you more? They want to follow you on socials.
I'm at Nigel D on Instagram. That's NIGELD, as in Nigel DeFriez. Oh, also, Almost Already Famous, Brooke Bundy's pilot that I'm in is coming out soon online.
Oh, it's going to be live online. Wow.
Yay.
I saw the pilot in Chicago
Yeah,
a long time ago now.
So,
It's so
it was
good.
like a year ago.
so I'm in that as an actor.
Hell yeah. Kat, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram when I'm not, hiding. It's cat.mills. And Vimeo? Does anyone use Vimeo anymore? I don't know.
I use Vimeo
I do
primarily,
too.
but I'm
I love
weird.
Vimeo.
So
Me too. I love Vimeo.
I watch stuff on Vimeo more than I watch stuff anywhere else.
I think it's
And
great.
They torture me for it. They took the TV app away. They
They did?
Yeah, they don't have a TV app since June. But like my TV already had it installed, so like it's still technically there, but they're no longer providing like updates to it or whatever.
Huh.
And it has issues.
Okay,
sometimes.
this makes sense why I couldn't get it on my dad's TV.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, so
does
you
he have...
can't download it onto new TVs, but if you already had it, like it didn't disappear.
Oh, Jesus.
They're just not providing updates anymore.
Does that mean they're phasing it out, like, entirely?
Yeah, they're not into the TV app. They're trying to be literally go to the website vibes. So like even the phone app has issues, but like it still exists and you can use it. But they're doing a lot more like we want you to be on Vimeo.com, like doing interactive stuff with our website. They've been doing all these like short film premieres that are like that have like in video links. So it's like the thing pops up and you can click these 3 options for like what you'll go to, and one of them's like talk with the director, and then the other 2 I don't know what they are because I've never gone to Vimeo.com and looked at them. I always just watch it on my TV and it just plays the movie because you can't click it on the TV. So that's what they're trying to do, but they're not very viewer friendly sometimes in that way. You can't really make playlists. You can make like a watch list, but you can't make separate playlists. It's like kind of annoying.
That's true.
And yet I love the shit.
Yeah, me
no
too.
ads, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It feels so much more catered towards like filmmakers.
Yeah.
Whereas like YouTube, I never go on YouTube. I hate it. Like I try not to watch stuff on there if I can help it. And the ads are so aggressive, and then it wants to automatically play the next thing, and that stresses me out.
Yeah.
I'm a baby, it turns out.
Well, you like what you like, but it's annoying.
I like what I like.
It's annoying that Vimeo is maybe sliding downhill.
Vimeo could be so cool. Like, it has the bones to be cool. If they would just make their stuff more friendly to the viewer versus always thinking about the uploader.
Yeah.
I think if they could go more places. But that's just my opinion. Vimeo.com if you're listening.
Yeah.
I have some suggestions.
Listen to Kayla.
Okay, anyway, if you listen to me quite enough and we can let this episode end.
Oh.
Thank you both for joining me. It was such a pleasure to have you on /back.
So fun.
Thank you.
for
This was
having me.
so fun.
All right, and we'll see everyone else next time. Bye.
Bye.
Do we end now?
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Bye.